New York Giants fans, you saw the game. You don't really need me to tell you, but I'm here to say it. That number one overall pick that you all were worried about, no need to worry. I like to think that's a lock. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure that you go over there and check everything out because now we are on number one overall pick watch, right? I'll get into that. If you haven't done so already, I am determined. I am dogged. We're going to get the 2,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, but we need more of you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, tell your friends who are Giants fans to come hang out with us here on the New York Giants on SI YouTube page. And more specifically, come check me out at A Giant Issue. It's always been a pleasure. Make sure you catch me anywhere that you get social media at Gene Clemons. And if you want to, go over to my personal page on YouTube, Coach Gene Clemons, to see some of the stuff that I've done over the years and things that I'll have coming up here in the future. Back when the decision was made to bench Daniel Jones, I said I understood why they had to bench Daniel Jones. And it wasn't necessarily because of the injury clause, right? It wasn't necessarily because of that, but that played a large factor. But the real reason, and what I've said this entire season, is that Daniel Jones gave the Giants the best opportunity to win. Some people may have turned their nose up at that. Some people may have squawked at the idea, but now we've seen Tommy DeVito, we've seen Drew Lock, and it's pretty safe to say that Daniel Jones gave this team the best opportunity to win. So if you're trying to tank, it doesn't do you any good to have Daniel Jones out there. If you're trying to tank, if you're trying to lose on purpose and you put the guy who gives you the best chance of winning out there, that's going against your better interests. So I get it. I understand it. Daniel Jones had to go. Now, this isn't me saying that I think Daniel Jones is good. I saw that we have all of a sudden now said that Daniel Jones is going to be the reclamation project of the year. I think that is laughable. People out here acting as if Sam Darnold has somehow been redeemed in Minnesota when he has all the weapons in the world in Minnesota. He has a quarterback-friendly head coach in Minnesota, and he's still turning the ball over. Like they're still on shaky ground with Sam Darnold. He is who he is. Can he be good? Yes, Sam Darnold can be good. But he is who he is because he's going to be bad. And when he's good, you got to ride it. And when he's bad, you have to weather it. Daniel Jones, his ceiling is not Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones does not have the natural arm talent of Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones is a probably a better straight line runner than Sam Darnold, but that's about it. He might be as tough as or tougher than Sam Darnold, but that's about it. So when I say all of that about Daniel Jones, it tells you just how bad both Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito really are. And so this game versus the Cowboys is perfect because it gave Giants fans what you should have been looking for, which is an opening drive that was as near flawless as you can have it be. That worked out just like you wanted it to work out. You got the people that you needed to get involved. Tyrone Tracy was there, right? Malik Neighbors was there. Got some running from the quarterback in. All of which led to a touchdown. And then after that, the dam broke. And see, here is where your quarterback helps your offensive line. Because at some point, the Dallas Cowboys said, "Oh well, he's not that great of an athlete, so we'll do some unsound things and we'll be able to get him." They said, "Well, we don't know how great of a passer he is. Let's make him prove that he can beat us." And Drew Lock wasn't able to do it. I mean, that's just what it came down to. They were sending pressure. They like to bring those linebackers to the A gaps, right? And then maybe send them, maybe don't. But they were doing a lot of twists. By the way, if there's one thing that I will never argue with you guys on about Evan Neal in pass protection, is that if he has a guy who is a speed rusher on the outside, he is going to get beat by an inside move. See, that's why man-to-man protections are difficult in the NFL. He has to be so locked in. He has to be so on point with his footwork, with getting to that rusher on that speed rush to the outside, that he has to overcompensate. So when that speed rusher takes him to the or takes the inside move, he's either off balance or he's in no position to post because he's put so much emphasis on getting to the speed rush, right? And so that's a major flaw in his game. That's not a flaw that can't be fixed, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a flaw that wouldn't exist. It's a flaw that wouldn't exist if he was playing inside, because he would be protected by both. I'm just projecting forward because this season, as far as caring about wins and losses, seem to be over because they're tanking, right? They're losing on purpose. So now what we have to do is we have to turn our attention to, okay, what can we see in 2024 that makes us better for 2025? And one of those things is Evan Neal working on his ability to not overset on the speed rush, working on his ability to post on the inside move, and as a unit, as an offensive line, working better against the stunts. There were a couple of times where they stunted all the way into the A gap. Nobody picked him up. The guy ran by 3 people. Nobody picked him up. He came through free. But this is also the problem, because a guy shouldn't be able to go from the outside, loop all the way through the A gap, and still get to the quarterback before the quarterback gets the ball out of his hands. And this is the thing that Giants fans have to be looking at. What do you want out of your quarterback? You want somebody that either is athletic enough to get the hell out of the way, savvy enough to know how to manipulate the pocket, but also someone with a quick trigger, someone that just knows how to pound, 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 pound. Whenever it's time to shoot, they shoot. I don't think we see that right now. I don't think we have that right now on the Giants. I don't think we have a player or a quarterback on the Giants that just knows how to get the ball off because he understands what's happening in front of him. I don't think there's a guy on the team that understands how to deal and navigate pressure well. Like who they just don't know how to navigate the pressure the way that you should be able to navigate pressure in the NFL, because every quarterback gets pressure at some point. The Cowboys absolutely killed the Giants with pressure. Now, some of it was Jermaine Illuminor was out. They had that dude back in at left tackle, and it was ugly. And then part of it comes back to the scheme. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how you know you're tanking. Because early in the game, that first series, a lot of Tyrone Tracy, right? Quick passes, get the ball out. After that, what happened to Tyrone Tracy? After that first drive, after the first drive of the game, what happened to Tyrone Tracy? Where did he go? Did he get hurt? I didn't see him hurt. I'm asking because it seemed as if somebody, right? It seems as if somebody said, man, that was too good. We might have a chance of beating these Cowboys today. Let's dial it back. Let's make sure we get this W, and the W for them is an L, because that's one step closer to the number 1 overall pick. I just was wondering, like, what did Tyrone Tracy do? He received 9 carries the entire game. In what world is 9 carries going to be good enough for a running back? They gave Devin Singletary 7 carries, by the way. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why they had an entire series where they had Devin Singletary out there. And again, I don't know. Maybe something happened to Tracy. Maybe Tracy wasn't feeling well. Maybe he had hurt something. But again, never saw anything. Didn't see any reports about it. So I don't know what would have happened to him. Right? I didn't like the fact that at the beginning of the game, they came out the gate with Devin Singletary. First 2 plays of the game are runs to Devin Singletary. Why? So they give it to Tracy. 1, 2, 3. Right? We gave it to him 3 times in the first series. They gave it to Singletary way too many times in the first series, but they gave it to him 3 times. And then gave him 6 carries the rest of the game. They gave him 6 carries the rest of the game. And you're going to tell me you're not trying to lose? We've established Tyrone Tracy, one of your better offensive options. And yet, you don't get him the ball? Hell, you know what? Let's just assume that they said, hey, Tracy and Singletary, they're splitting time, right? Okay, cool. You gave 2 backs in an offense that should be predicated on running right now, because you've got the second string that was then turned into the third string quarterback out there. You gave both running backs 17 carries. Sorry, 16 carries, 9 and 7. You gave 2 backs 16 carries. Well, you know, the game script called for them to get so little carries. How? The team was never more than a touchdown and a field goal away until that last touchdown that the Cowboys scored That was halfway through the third quarter. It was 27-10. The very next series, the Giants came back and kicked the field goal to get it within 14. Like, I just don't understand this thought process of we're not going to feature our best players if our goal, right, is to win, because their goal's not to win. They're not trying to win. So that's why you don't see as much Tyrone Tracy, right? It's very clear to me. Defensively, they couldn't stop Water from running. What's new? What's new? Defensively, they could not stop Water from running. 22 carries for Rico Dowdle. That's a team trying to win. 22 carries for Rico Dowdle. Had 5.1 yards a carry. They had 5.1 yards a carry. The Dallas Cowboys, who can't stop the run, was able to hold Tyrone Tracy to 3.6 yards a carry. But he only had 9 carries. So if you were trying to win the game, if that was the goal, then Tyrone Tracy should have been closer to some numbers that he's had in previous games. At least when it comes to running the ball, right? Like in previous games that you're in, not games where like it's gotten out of control, like with the Bucks, but like games that you're in. Like against Carolina, Tyrone Tracy had 18 carries. Guess how many yards he had? 103 yards. Guess what his average was? 5.7. Against the Commanders, 16 carries, a 4.1 average. Against the Steelers, 20 carries, a 7.3 average. So I'm not quite understanding the whole we're going to give him the ball 9 times, as if this game was a blowout from the beginning, like it was versus the Eagles, like it was versus the Bucks. And the game script called for him to get little to no carries. Against the Bengals, 17 carries, 50 yards. But you see the commitment to the run when they're in the game. You can see the commitment to the run. Versus the Seahawks, 18 carries, 129 yards, 7.2 yards a carry. The first game versus the Cowboys, right? That was before Tyrone Tracy was really getting rock. Devin Singletary had 14 carries. Like what is the problem here? If you're trying to tank, that's one thing, right? And maybe this is the best of both worlds. Maybe this is the best of both worlds because you only lost by 7 points. So it makes it look as if the game was competitive, right? It makes it look as if the game was competitive. But if there weren't a few precipitous drops by by the Cowboys, by CeeDee Lamb, this thing looks worse. It looks worse. If there wasn't a need to just get out of there, it looks worse. Because the script didn't dictate not giving the ball to Tyrone Tracy. The outcome dictated not giving the ball to Tyrone Tracy. Because if we give Tyrone Tracy the ball and he gets rolling, we have a chance to win this game. So let's not give him the ball. Simple as that. But if any of you guys were out there wondering or worried, oh my gosh, other teams are losing, we may not get the first overall pick. No worries. You're good. This team is destined for a number 1 or a number 2 pick. And either way, that pick should be Shedeur Sanders. If you get the 1 or if you get the 2, you should be getting Shedeur Sanders. That is the for sure way this franchise should be going. A guy who understands how to play behind offensive lines who are not that great. A guy that is more athletic than people give him credit for. A guy that's tough as nails. A guy that never complains. A guy that works hard, studies, meticulous with his development, with his rituals, and on top of all that, charismatic, good looking, understands pressure, and how to play under pressure, because his dad's been Deion Sanders forever, and people have claimed that his dad has been playing daddy ball forever. He's had to deal with those things, and in the middle of all of that, he's still been great. And for as good as all of his receivers are at Colorado, they are not better than Malik Neighbors. For as good as all of their receivers are, they're Slayton-esque, some of them. They're Wan'Dale Robinson-esque, some of them. And guess what? If you get Shedeur early, there's a chance that you could possibly get Horn or Wester or what's the other bully name? Oh, it's dropping off my line. You can't get Hunter, right? You can't get Hunter unless somehow you're able to get 2 top 10 picks. Can't get Hunter. But if you get Shedeur, you can get one of his other receivers to go with them. You can get a Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn is not going to be a first-round draft pick. You can get a LaJohntay Wester. He's not going to be a first-round draft pick. Right? So, like, those guys that they have out there catching the ball from Shedeur, guys who understand and know how Shedeur plays, how he likes to get down, what he wants done. Like, if you can get Shedeur and then stack him with one of those other guys, Shepard. That's Will Shepard. That's what I was trying to think of. If you could get Shedeur and then pick up a Wester, a Shepard, a Horn in the 3rd round, 4th round, like, you're winning. You put that guy now with Neighbors and with Wan'Dale Robinson. I would say if I was picking one, it would probably be Shepard because of his size, right? But Horn and Wester are hella explosive, so they would be fun options as well. But that's how you build that thing, right? You stack that quarterback, give him a familiar face to go with them. It's not a bad way to go. But defensively, it was a mess. Offensively, seemed on purpose. The play calling, everything that was done, that seemed on purpose. So now, hey, rejoice. If you wanted the number 1 overall pick, you got it. Now, let's turn our attention to evaluating the players on the field. We saw the Big Sexy get hurt. But Big Sexy hasn't really been that productive over the last few games. Not a lot of sacks or pressures after he got off to such a hot start. Haven't seen much from him in the last few. Now he's hurt. How long will he be out? This is the opportunity to evaluate the guys that are behind him, to see who needs to stay and who needs to go. We are on review mode now. Let's see what everybody has. Clearly, they haven't given up. That didn't look like a give-up team, but it did look like a team that understood the mission. That interception by Drew Lock was a lazy interception. Why? Because when the guy is running at you and nobody's in front of you, the job is to throw it over his head, to give just like a little hook shot, a little drop shot over his head. It's not to try to sidearm it and sling it past him like you're Angelina Jolie in Wanted. And then you give that guy the opportunity to make that phenomenal play where he tips it up in the air, catches it himself, and runs in there. You gave him that opportunity because of the way you presented the ball on the arm angle. If you drop it over his head, that's never the case. But again, the fix is in. So they understand the mission. So it's just not as sharp. Not as sharp as you would want it to be. There are players that are playing hard, just not as sharp as you want it to be. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, get used to this. They're going to take these L's. I don't know if the regime is going to survive all the L's, but they should. I'm saying it now, they should. You know why? Because this is what they're trying to do. I'm also not really a big fan of firing people all on a whim. I am adamant though. If one goes, both go. Don't try to have one of them fall on the sword so that the other one can live. No. You follow them through. If one goes, both go. And you start from scratch. That's just my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another edition. Thank you for joining us. New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your Giants news and information. Make sure that you hit that up. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button on the New York Giants on SI YouTube page so that you know every time I drop a new edition of a Giant issue. Paul Dottino doing his Big Blue breakdown. Check that out as well. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a Giant issue.